You're watching Holiday Hoops presented by Pandora. This is Big 12 basketball on ESPN. Country roads take me home on a Sunday afternoon. From Morgantown, West Virginia to Top 20 Tilt, the number 11 Mountaineers hosting undefeated 19th ranked Richmond. Alongside Robbie Hummel, I'm Rich Hollenberg. Robbie, the word different doesn't even do justice when describing how these two teams go about their business, and it's evident in their two stars.
Well, Derek Culver is absolutely relentless. 3 double-doubles on the season, much improved from last year, making his free throws at a much higher clip, can shoot the 15-foot jumper, but he brings that level of toughness to West Virginia and Bob Huggins Ball Club. Derek Culver and Oscar Tshiebwe are going to be a problem for the Richmond Spiders today. And on the flip side, Jacob Gilyard is electric in the open floor. The A-10 Defensive Player of the Year last season, the steals king of this conference, has terrific feel, a Swiss Army knife type player, can get guys involved, can score the ball. Jacob Gilyard going to be electric today in Morgantown.
Well, you talk about a contrast to style. So many times that seems cliche. I liken this to a yacht rock versus a hard rock kind of a matchup. And Bob Huggins, who you see there, the future Hall of Famer, loves to make it a rock fight. And his teams play as tough as anybody in the country. 886 career wins, 296 of them coming at his alma mater, West Virginia. Chris Mooney, on the other hand, 16th year as the head man of the Spiders, the oldest team in the country experience-wise, and maybe Mooney's best team in his tenure at Richmond. They were bound for their 3rd NCAA tournament berth last year, on that track again with a 4-0 start this year. Your officials this afternoon: Ray Natilli, Ron Groover, Marcus Pettigrew. It's West Virginia in their home old gold and blue uniforms, and the road reds for the Richmond Spiders. Culver wins the tip. Deuce McBride, number 4 in gold, brings it up. Where does the scoring come from West Virginia, Robbie?
Well, they're going to go inside early, and with Miles McBride, it's almost like Gary Payton. He is going to look to post Jacob Gilyard. That's 100% what they do right there. You get a back screen, and you find Miles McBride posting the smaller Gilyard.
Here come the Richmond Spiders, one of the more entertaining offenses to run. Why is that?
Well, it's because they run the Princeton offense, and Chris Mooney, a player at Princeton, has seen it for the majority of his adult life. They share the basketball. They play in transition. When you think of the Princeton offense, you think of a lot of slow it down. That's not what Richmond's going to do. They're going to be opportunistic, but in the half court, they're going to run their stuff.
McBride pulls up, no good. Here come the Spiders, and they want to push the tempo. Francis pulls up. He's short. The rebound to the Mountaineers. That's a great guard matchup right there at the left side of your screen. Number 4 for West Virginia, Miles McBride, and 0, Jacob Gilyard, who's 2nd in the nation in steals right now.
That's going to be interesting to see with Sean McNeil. Against North Texas, he got his first shot to go, play with a ton of confidence. Well, he busted out of a slump, but you miss your first shot. Will he still be aggressive? And there's Grant Golden showing off the moves of what he's capable of doing. Guy that can score it, really runs the point almost on their Princeton offense attack. Right there, spinning baseline, a beautiful take to the rim.
Yeah, a lot of times everything runs through Grant Golden, number 33 in red. Chris Mooney said he is the face and the rock of this Richmond program. Culver's first shot off the mark, another rebound for Golden.
Just a great dig by Jacob Gilyard. He had Derek Culver just really uncomfortable down there. And there's that back cut. There's the Princeton offense. If you're not aware, you're going to get embarrassed. And Jacob Gilyard back cutting right there. Guess who? Grant Golden on the delivery.
Golden already with a couple of rebounds, a bucket, and now an assist. Here's Matthews. Baseline, tried to get it to Tshiebwe off his hands.
But Oscar Tshiebwe has really struggled. Going to find a way to get him going here.
They go down to Tshiebwe off the window, and Oscar Tshiebwe, a preseason All-Big 12 nominee, has his first bucket of the afternoon.
Just in talking to Bob Huggins, obviously his numbers are down, but Huggs has said he's not running the same. He's not shooting the ball the way he did last year from 15 feet. He just hasn't been the same guy, and they need him to play well. One of the best offensive rebounds in the country.
Francis got by his defender and gets his first two.
That's just not good enough. If you're West Virginia, I know it's a blow by, but you've got to have some sort of resistance to the rim. Derek Culver gets blown by. Blake Francis doing whatever he wants.
Now they go high-low, the Mountaineers. Culver to Shebway to Matthews for the dunk.
It's a nice cut there. Evan Matthews seeing that double team and cutting right to the basket. Evan Matthews is an interesting case. And he played so well his freshman year offensively. Had the 27 against Texas Tech at the Big 12 tournament.
Mountaineers showing patience on offense. Matthews, the left-hander, off with the jump shot. Another rebound for Golden. Four minutes gone by. Golden's got 3 rebounds, and he gets met at the rim by Derek Culver. Tied 6-6 early on. Top 20 teams going at it. Head coach Chris Mooney with Princeton ties, but Robbie Hummel, this is a supercharged Princeton offense.
Well, yes, it is. And they can beat you in a number of ways. Here you're going to see Andre Gustafson bring the ball up. He's the point man. He's got 2 options. You can hit the high post, or you can swing the basketball. The back cut is always going to be an option here. As soon as you swing it, an immediate flare. Look at the way the ball moves. You've got 6, 7, 8 passes, and look at the shot clock. You get a shot up, there's still 11 on the clock. They move the basketball, they run their stuff. They are fantastic at running their offense.
I don't know if Pete Carrill ever averaged 78 points a game like Chris Mooney's Spiders are averaging this year, but the fundamentals of that Princeton offense, especially that backdoor cut, are still evident to this day with this Richmond team, who should have made the NCAA tournament last year and certainly looks like they're on that path this year, despite it only being 4 games into the season for Richmond.
I thought Chris Mooney made a really good point yesterday when we spoke to him. And really, back when Pete Carrill was coaching, you have to think, we only saw Princeton for the most part on television when they were playing big-time teams, the Georgetowns, the UCLAs. So, of course, they had to slow it down. Just from a personnel standpoint, you don't want to get into a track meet with those groups. So I think that certainly Chris Mooney has taken that Princeton offense and added it with athletes. But I don't think we necessarily are doing Princeton justice. Yes, they played slow, but we saw them at their slowest because they had to be to stay in those games.
Spent a year at Air Force as the head coach before moving to Richmond in 2005. And a lot of people thought he was on the hot seat just a couple of years ago, Robbie. They won 12 games back-to-back seasons. But all of a sudden, this recruiting class that has now become the oldest team in college basketball is showing why they are an NCAA tournament caliber team.
You have to reward the administration at Richmond for staying with them. And that's going to be the story for West Virginia all day. You see the high-low. They're going to throw it in there. And Derek Culver doing a nice job of going right over the top of Nathan Kao.
Culver's first 2. He has 3 double-doubles this season already. Wow. And that one in the paint is good.
What a move by Tyler Burton. And he just gets better every time you see him play. Chris Mooney is so high on this sophomore, has great balance, has great patience, and showed both of those things in the lane right there.
Jordan McCabe, number 5 on the floor for Bob Huggins now, gives it up to Culver. Working on Kao. And there's a turnover, but a foul is called.
You can tell Richmond is showing so much attention to Derek Culver, and rightfully so. But let's go back to that Tyler Burton bucket. That's a big-time move. He loves to jump stop in the lane, get to his spot, shoot that fadeaway jumper. That's pretty.
And you were saying before the game that Tyler Burton has had a chance to flourish because of the injury to Nick Sherrod.
Well, it's unfortunate because you lose a guy who's a senior who's should be coming into what is his best season with all of his buddies he came in with, and you lose him. But you're certainly right. Because of his absence, Tyler Burton gets a chance now to show what he can do.
And what a bonus for Bob Huggins, getting a 3 from Jordan McCabe. That's just his 3rd field goal all season. This is a point guard, Robbie, who was starting all last season.
Well, he's got a reputation. Even come out of high school, he can shoot the ball. And it's all about confidence, but it's about repetition. And Jordan McCabe has gotten off to a really tough start to this season, but we saw it here today. He's always the first guy out. He's always the one getting extra shots up. And when you do that and you put the work in, I have no doubt that it's going to come for him. He's going to get plenty of looks too, because Sheboy and Culver are going to draw so much attention.
That shot off the mark. KO tried for the rebound, but he was surrounded by Mountaineers, and Richmond still has it. KO goes strong into the teeth of the Mountaineer defense, and he'll go to the line and shoot two. Nathan KO, a 6'7" senior. Feel like you could say senior for just about everybody on this Richmond roster. He's out of Montreal, averaging 14.5 a game this season, along with 4.3 rebounds, and shooting a robust 71% from the field. He's got the first one. Well, we have our next NBA preseason matchup coming up later tonight. Clippers and Lakers from Staples Center in Los Angeles. That's tonight at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the app. I don't know about you, Robbie, but I think the Clippers and the Lakers should both wear home jerseys like UCLA and USC did at the Rose Bowl yesterday.
Well, I want to see what Paul George looks like here, fresh off his $180 million extension. Going to be interesting to see, can they compete? Can they compete with the Lakers? Can anybody compete with the Lakers?
Nice feed inside. That's McNeil to Sheboy, and Oscar Sheboy off to a good start. And really the starts of games have been the fly in the ointment for Oscar Sheboy. Early foul trouble, sits him on the bench, never gets into a groove. Now he's got 2 field goals in the early going.
Now, I wonder, and I was talking to a writer who covers the Purdue basketball team, Brian Newberg, and we were talking about Purdue as a center, Travion Williams, who has had some issues early in the year, and with these really big guys who carry some weight with the pandemic, I believe that it's been harder for them to get back in shape because they need that conditioning base. And I don't think that Sheboy has been able to do that. So it's going to take him some time to play his way into that.
McNeil had the assist to Sheboy, and now McNeil knocks down his first triple of the game. Some early positive signs on offense from Bob Huggins.
Think about if they can make shots, just how much space Culver and Sheboy are going to have to operate down low. And this is a better shooting team, but West Virginia's going to have to do that to let those guys play to their potential.
Right now, both teams shooting over 55% from the field. Who does that play an advantage for, Robbie?
Well, to me, it's West Virginia because of the way that it's been done. It's a lot of twos, and for Richmond, they're going to have to make perimeter shots, and they're going to have to rebound the basketball. But right now, it's been, these teams are on fire from inside the arc.
How about this? 7 different Mountaineers have already gotten a scoring column.
What a great defense there from Oscar Sheboy, cutting off that baseline, understanding that Grant Golden wants to get there.
McNeil again. Another bucket for Sean McNeil. He has 5.
That's how he got himself going against North Texas, of taking it to the basket. You know, when you're a perimeter jump shooter and you can find an easy one, it does wonders for your confidence. Sean McNeil right now playing like a confident offensive player, the guy that led all of JUCO in scoring 2 seasons ago.
The floater, no good. And look at the Mountaineers gang rebound.
You see 4 Mountaineers down there and just Nathan KO. It's going to be a tough challenge regardless. But West Virginia, year in and year out, one of the best rebounding teams in all of the country.
Golden, it goes out of bounds, and it looks like we have a stoppage of play. 11:41 to go. It's a 6-point lead for the 11th round Mountaineers.
West Virginia, a little defense to offense. You get that steal from Jordan McCabe. You're off to the races. Sean McNeil converting at the rim.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball. We are in Morgantown, West Virginia. Top 20 teams going toe-to-toe. West Virginia with the early 6-point lead on Richmond and break up the Mountaineers offense. They came into this game shooting just 40% from the field and only 31% from beyond the arc. Today, 64% field goal percentage, and they haven't missed from 3-point range yet, Robbie.
Well, a slow start. They start 1 for 4 from the field in this game, and since they're 8 for 10, they make those 2 threes, but they've gotten it done in the paint. They have 10 points in the paint, and for Richmond, you're looking at that 3-point number. You're 0 of 3. That's certainly concerning. They've got to get Blake Francis going.
A miss at close range from Culver, and that's something that Bob Huggins has been bemoaning ever since last year, Robbie. Shibwe and Culver struggle at close range.
Well, at times it looks like they're playing volleyball out there. They're patting that thing off the glass, and you've got to convert those looks. I think on that possession, though, Tyler Burton with a great rebound. That's going to be so big for Richmond today. You can start your break. You keep West Virginia off the glass. At times, for the Mountaineers, that's totally their best offense.
Golden back out. Francis still hasn't gotten in the scoring column yet.
He got a good look. It was a really good pass from Grant Golden, and Blake Francis did a nice job of relocating, found himself open.
There's a steal by Gilliard. That's his specialty, and an easy 2 at the other end.
You talk to anybody around this Richmond organization, and they're going to tell you about his feel. He has such a feel for the game as a defensive player, and right there, he is always in the right place. He makes plays on the basketball, and he's as good as anybody we've seen in college basketball at taking the ball from their opponent.
Another 3 attempt, and they're still perfect from beyond the arc. Jordan McCabe has 2 of them.
He had really struggled coming into this game, and it's so good to see his hard work pay off. Jordan McCabe stretching that defense, now 2 of 2 from 3 on this game.
Mid post. Comes up short. Culver clears for the Mountaineers. Looking to build on a 7-point lead.
That was really good defense by Sean McNeil. He's been locked in early, and whether it's been on the defensive end or getting to the rim and making shots here, Sean McNeil's been really good for Bob Huggins throughout this early start here.
West Virginia goes high-low again. Shibwe, Culver, baseline, no. KO the rebound.
Richmond's bigs are doing a nice job of walling up, and they're not allowing these West Virginia bigs to get downhill, get layups. They're making them score over the top, and so far Shibwe and Culver having some issues doing that.
And Golden slipped a little bit in the mid post, called for the travel. That's the 5th Richmond turnover. They average just 11 turnovers a game. They're already at close to the 50% mark, and there's still 9:22 to go in the first half. How much of that has to do with that West Virginia defense, Robbie?
Well, it's the physicality, and that's what you get when you play Bob Huggins teams. The thing is, they've negated that turnover margin by doing a good job on the glass. They're up in rebounds 9-6, and Chris Mooney talked about it. If we're going to win, our margin with rebounding has to be made up with turnovers and also made threes. Turnovers, maybe not so good, but you have to think the way they shoot the basketball, they can get it going in a hurry.
High-low again. This time Shibwe misses the bunny.
They're doing a great job on the glass. It's been one and done here the last 4 minutes for West Virginia.
Here's Gilliard. Now Francis takes it down the lane and connects.
But again, where's the help defense? And what a steal by Jacob Gilliard.
Unbelievable. Jacob Gilliard came into this game averaging over 4 steals a game, 2nd in the nation. And Robbie, I looked it up. In the last 25 years, there is nobody, no player who has averaged for a season 7+ assists and 4+ steals. I know it's a small sample size, only 4 games, but that's what Jacob Gilliard's doing right now.
His numbers are incredible. And when you look at what he's been able to do, you look at the top 3 steals numbers per season in Richmond history, he's got the top 3. I mean, from the second he stepped on campus, that feel has been there.
Met at the rim is Solomon Karesi. His first shot attempt, and he'll go to the line and shoot a pair.
Right now, West Virginia's help side defense in the pick and roll has been really late coming over. And you're going to see right there, you've got to be to the middle of the lane if you're Oscar Shibwe. You're not in the right position, and because of that, you end up fouling. Solomon Karesi gets to the basket. But you're just not allowing yourself to have success. If you're in the middle of the paint, there's no defensive 3 seconds out here. There's no reason why he should not be camped in the middle of the lane.
Baresi knocks them both down. The 6'9" junior out of Harlem, New York, averaging only 2.5 a game in the early part of this season, but he has his first 2 here today. And it's a 3-point West Virginia lead. Here's McBride. 10 on the shot clock for West Virginia. Culver. And a foul is called. Or did that go out of bounds? It looked like it might be Richmond ball with a chance to tie when we come back. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Pandora. Listen to music from uninterrupted radio only by Pandora. Chris Mooney and the Richmond Spiders have a rich tradition of undersized point guards. Kendall Anthony, Kevin Anderson, even Chandre Jones, you can add him to the list. And now it's Jacob Gilyard. He's 5'9", and that might be being generous. But Robbie, he's not the only height-challenged guard who is dominating college basketball this year.
Well, no, we certainly have some guys who aren't your traditional size that have been impact players. Chris Likes, one of the most dynamic playmakers in not just the ACC, but all of college basketball. And I thought it was really cool when we were talking to Chris Mooney about recruiting Jacob Gilyard. He said he needed to see him for 1 half, and he knew. He said, I saw the way he played, his speed, his feel for the game, and I think the fact that Richmond has had really good success with some small point guards, obviously Kevin Anderson is the guy that comes to my mind, but they've had some guys that aren't maybe your traditional size point guards that have been really good.
We got a foul on the floor with 7:37 to go, and West Virginia hanging on to a 3-point lead. They led by as much as 7 earlier in the half.
I would say that this game has not necessarily gone maybe the way we thought. West Virginia has not attempted a free throw. They're out shooting Richmond, and Richmond's out rebounding West Virginia.
Yeah. Hashtag 2020, Robbie Hummel. You never know what you're going to get. That time we have a West Virginia turnover, so they are at 4 turns for the first half.
Sal Caresi really matched the physicality of Derek Culver there, and interesting to see West Virginia change it up here. Days of press Virginia maybe not the same anymore, but I think this is a good move because it takes time off the clock. You know, you're not going to allow Richmond to get into their Princeton. You're taking away the amount of time you've got to guard.
And there's an interception by the former football player. Miles McBride takes it strong to the hole.
That was phenomenal by Miles McBride. And West Virginia, they trapped that ball screen. You run Derek Culver right at Jacob Gilyard. That pass is super long, but Miles McBride read it the whole way.
An open look, no good for Richmond. Culver clears for West Virginia. Under 7 minutes to go. West Virginia offense has looked as good as it has in the last couple of years, and they continue that trend.
This has been an offensive jump shooting explosion. Taz Sherman, a guy that's made shots on the season, but this is more what Bob Huggins had in mind.
Well, Jacob Gilyard's not the only one who can make steals, Robbie.
No, he's not, and Miles McBride has something to say about that. A big-time read and then getting to the left hand. That was really nice. Great awareness. We've talked about the feel of Jacob Gilyard right there. Miles McBride right back at you.
So now the lead back up to 7 for the 11th ranked Mountaineers. Terrific top 20 matchup here in mid-December. And the jumper goes again. Outside shooting supreme from Bob Huggins' West Virginia club. Another bucket by Taz Sherman, his first 3 of the afternoon.
If they make shots like this, West Virginia is going to be really tough to beat. They have been unconscious here in the first half. 4 of 5 from 3, 13 of 22 from the field, and now really cranking up that defensive intensity here.
Mountaineers in the midst of a 7-zip run, and they've forced Richmond into 4 turnovers in their last 7 possessions.
You can feel that pressure is really bothering the Richmond guards, and you're trying to run that Princeton offense. You have to think they've got to flip that on you. Got to get some back cuts, got to get some dribble drives to the rim.
Here's Golden, has it poked away by Culver. Look at the effort from Derek Culver as the ball goes out of bounds. Well, coming up Wednesday, a couple of top 25 teams highlighting our ACC College Hoops doubleheader right here on ESPN. 25th ranked Louisville hosting NC State at 7. Then number 10 Duke in South Bend to start ACC play against Notre Dame. What did Notre Dame and Richmond have in common, Robbie Hummel? That, of course, being that they both beat Kentucky this year. What is wrong with Big Blue Nation?
Well, their point guard play has not been great. And I think you're looking at a freshman in Devin Askew, who you're asking to run the team. He reclassifies, and man, that's a tough deal. He's 17 years old. You're out here playing against 22-year-old grown men. I think also maybe Olivier Sarr, a lot of Kentucky fans were expecting him to maybe even be the SEC Player of the Year, and he certainly had his moments, but the way they shoot the basketball, they're going to struggle when they're not making shots from the perimeter. Defenses are just loading up on Brandon Boston and Terrence Clark.
There's some great ball movement by the Spiders, and it results in a bucket at close range.
That was a great pass, and Nathan Kao really knows how to score the basketball. You talked about Kentucky, went for 18 and 6 in that game, and loves his right hand, can really score out of the post, just knows how to play.
Chris Mooney calls Nathan Kao the best cutter that he's ever had in the program, and that's saying something with that Princeton offense. McBride with another jumper. He has 6. And back-to-back we go. Offense is in effect right now in Morgantown.
Blake Francis showing you just what kind of one-on-one player he really is. And right now, there's not much defense being played out here in West Virginia. They found something with Miles McBride. We've got Gary Payton Jr. out of the post. Sam Cassell would be proud. You don't see many point guards posting up like that, but Miles McBride incredibly comfortable out of that low post.
Out of Cincinnati Moeller High School, known for putting out a lot of football talent, and he was a football star himself, played quarterback for Moeller High School, and now he's running the show for the West Virginia Mountaineers. Man, the Nets are huge today in Morgantown.
I mean, West Virginia is on fire. They're getting whatever they want. And whether it's Miles McBride, Taz Sherman, Jordan McCabe, it has not mattered.
Golden tried to force that one, turned it over. Coming up on 3 minutes to go in the first half, a 10-point West Virginia lead. Here's Shibwe, nice spin move. The best West Virginia offense that Bob Huggins has seen in years we're seeing in the first half, Robbie.
West Virginia is on fire from downtown. Miles McBride, Taz Sherman, doesn't matter. These guys are getting buckets from the perimeter. West Virginia is scorching from the three-point line. They're shooting 71% on the day. They came into this game shooting just 31% on the year. That's good for last in the Big 12. It's been an assortment of people. It's been Miles McBride. It's been Sean McNeil. It's been Taz Sherman. Everybody's been in on the party. And you have to think, if you're the Richmond Spiders, you came into this game thinking we're going to pack the lane, we're going to stop Derek Culver, we're going to stop Oscar Shibwe, and we're going to make them prove they can make jump shots. Well, I'd say in the first half, West Virginia has more than aced this test. They've been scorching hot from downtown.
Robbie, funny for us, maybe not so funny for Chris Mooney, but when we talked to him yesterday about stopping West Virginia on offense, because they're so good at rebounding their own misses, he said, I don't know, maybe our strategy is have them make their first shot. And he was laughing when he said it.
He might regret that one at this point. They have been so good on the offensive end of the floor. Bob Huggins has been saying, though, Rich, he said we have good shooters. We just haven't had them all shooting well at the same time. And today, it's been a culmination. Here you see Sean McNeil, and you think this is a competent group right now? They are playing with a ton of confidence. showing off that crossover dribble and getting to his pull-up.
Balanced scoring for the Mountaineers. McBride leading the way with 11. McCabe has 6. Sherman with 7. McNeil with 7. And Oscar Tshiebwe has 6 as well. There's the left-hander Francis. Rolls off the rim.
I think we have to talk about, Rich, just how good West Virginia's defense has also been. Yes, they've made shots, but they've forced turnovers. They've played incredibly hard. They've already forced 9 Richmond turnovers here with 2:26 to go in the first half. They've been locked in from a scouting report perspective and really taken Richmond out of what they've wanted to do.
Deep post, and it comes up again.
Well,
Culver with his 4th point.
That's a fantastic play, and you get a pin down, you get Sean McNeil coming off, and look at the space that Derek Culver has to operate.
Here's Gilliard from deep. Too strong. Tshiebwe the rebound.
It just has not been there from downtown for Richmond. They're now 1 of 7 from 3. It's almost like these two teams switch shooting abilities because Miles McBride has it going. 14 points here in the first half.
The Mountaineers have hit their last 7 field goals, and they get another steal, and they have a 3-on-1. Here's the lob, and Tshiebwe finishes the alley-oop.
Well, I'm guessing Bob Huggins is going to like the way he ran right there. Taz Sherman through the passing lanes, and you set your big fella up. This looks like the West Virginia of old.
Call off the dogs. The Mountaineers are on fire. Timeout on the floor. 11th ranked West Virginia. A 16-1 run punctuated by Miles McBride. They're up 50-28. Rich and Robbie, Hollenberg and Hummel from Morgantown, West Virginia. Coming up on the Pandora halftime report, Dallin Cuff, Seth Greenberg, John Crispin. It's number 4 Sparty in action. Kentucky's struggles continue. We talked about that. And we'll have a Keontae Johnson update, a scary moment in Tallahassee yesterday as the Florida Gators star went down and had to be taken to the hospital.
Boy, Tyler Burton just found out the hard way. He went up to posterize Derek Culver, and Culver goes straight up, meets him at the rim. I love the aggressiveness, but man, access denied. You see Culver using that left hand, getting all ball, and West Virginia, it's a track meet from there on. They've been so good on both ends of the floor today.
And here's McNeil continuing the hot shooting.
And these haven't been easy shots. I mean, that's a fadeaway post up from Sean McNeil. You can see why he led all of junior college in scoring 2 seasons ago. But man, compared to what we've seen from West Virginia, this has been really impressive.
Backdoor cut. And an offensive foul. Deuce McBride in position.
Great positioning. And that's Miles McBride knowing the scouting report. You're in the right place at the right time. The back cut was there, but Miles McBride slides over, takes that one right through the chest.
Francis takes a seat. 52-28 lead with 30 seconds to go in the first half. I don't think anybody, let alone us, saw this coming.
Especially the way it's been done. I think if West Virginia had just pounded Richmond on the glass and Culver and Tshiebwe were going to work, that wouldn't have been a surprise. But the fact that it's been raining threes here in Morgantown, that has been one.
Pepperoni rolls for everybody. 10.6 to go. Richmond undefeated on the season, but they have taken a gut punch in the first 20 minutes in Morgantown. Good follow. That's Tyler Burton, his 2nd bucket of the afternoon. And you wouldn't have been surprised if that one went in with the way that West Virginia's been shooting. They're up 22 on 19th ranked Richmond. The 11th ranked Mountaineers are rolling Now we go to the Pandora halftime report. You're watching Holiday Hoops presented by Pandora alongside Robbie Hummel. I'm Rich Hollenberg. In Morgantown, West Virginia, the 11th ranked Mountaineers are putting a beat down on unbeaten 19th ranked Richmond, 52-30. Hot shooting all the way around by the Mountaineers, Robbie.
66% from three in the first half. And this is a West Virginia team that came into today last in the Big 12 in three-point shooting. 4 different Mountaineers knocked them down, but it wasn't just the shooting. It was Press Virginia reincarnated, and it became a dunk contest at times late in the first half. Miles McBride finishing that one off with the jam. He was fantastic. 16 points in the first half.
Well, we take a look at our first half stats brought to you by Ally, and everything that we heard from Chris Mooney before this game that had to happen for Richmond to win, well, it's happening, but it's happening for West Virginia.
A strange game. I mean, those numbers are really surprising, and the rebounding, the fact that Richmond is out rebounding West Virginia. Now, part of that is it's hard to rebound your makes, so that they haven't had as many opportunities to get on the offensive glass.
Inside, Gilliard to KO. Good start for Chris Mooney's Richmond Spiders. Here's Miles McBride, 4 in gold. He was the star of the first half, amongst many stars for this Mountaineers offense. Most points they've scored in the first half in 2 years. And McBride continues the hot streak with his first attempt out of the half.
Well, Oscar Tshiebwe set a fantastic screen right there, and Miles McBride came off. He's looking to pull. It is his day shooting the basketball, but Tshiebwe did a great job of freeing up the guard.
KO grabs the offensive rebound, and he's doing work, but off the mark. Here comes McBride in transition. 18 points already for Deuce McBride.
The sheer strength of Derek Culver right there is so impressive. That defense is totally collapsed in. You got 3 sets of eyes looking at Derek Culver, and it's hard to help when he just bowls right through you. That's 100% what he did right there.
Now, I don't want to jinx him. He made his first free throw attempt there. He's a career 56% free throw shooter, but he's shooting 68% from the line this year, and he cans them both there.
Well, that was pure, too. You give him the announcer jinx, and that thing is nothing but net.
Listen, talking free throws is not the sexiest thing, Hummel, but I'm telling you, that is a big reason why West Virginia is playing so much better this year.
It's a huge part of why he's playing so much better. He draws so much contact, he gets fouled so much, and when you're shooting 50% from the line, you're just leaving so many out there. This season, he's been much better, and even the last 2 games, he's shooting 75% from the free throw line.
Here's Golden in the paint. Grant Golden comes up short. The rebound to Tshiebwe. And a whistle stops play with 18:23 to go. Well, Tshiebwe's been able to stay out of foul trouble. Only 1 foul in the first half, Robbie.
He has really done what he's needed to do today. We saw him get out and run the floor, which I'm sure is going to make Bob Huggins happy after what he said about him running. And there played great defense. Grant Golden has really been a non-factor today, just 4 points. Hasn't been a factor scoring the ball.
Ten on the shot clock. Culver spins, gives it up to his fellow big man, and Tshiebwe converts.
What are the chances of that happening? Oscar Tshiebwe loses that ball. It hits off the bottom of the backboard and comes right back to him. There's that high-low game. Derek Culver and Oscar Tshiebwe, when they're on, are so good at playing together and finding one another.
Is there any other team that comes to mind for you, Robbie, that has that kind of combination of bigs in the country?
Not this type of big physical specimens. I think you look at Gonzaga's front court. North Carolina has an elite front court, but these 2 guys are different in the sense that really they're playing 2 centers. And to me, it reminds me a little bit of the old Kansas teams where you're playing Thomas Robinson and Jeff Withey together. That just doesn't exist anymore. You know, it's this West Virginia team. They break the mold in a lot of ways. They win in different ways than a lot of people do in college basketball today.
Yeah, Chris Mooney was hard-pressed to come up with a current-day comparison. As a matter of fact, he went back to the old Georgetown days with Pat Ewing and some of those names that you harken back to. That's 30 years ago. Bob Huggins is doing that in 2020. Here's a steal at the other end. It has been all West Virginia.
Just the way they've been in the passing lanes today. Their pressure has certainly affected these Richmond guards, and it's been guards shooting through there. We just saw Derek Culver getting in the passing lanes. They've been really good today.
Here's a 2-on-1 at the other end. And still no easy buckets because of the transition defense by West Virginia that time.
Yeah, but if you're Tyler Burton, that's when you got to go up and you got to try to flush that thing. You got to convert. You're struggling to score and you get a layup and you blow it off the backboard. That can be backbreaking. I know that you're already down a substantial amount, but you have got to convert those opportunities.
There's another steal by Gilliard, his third the afternoon, and it converts into points. Blake Francis has 7.
That's what they're going to have to do, is get out in transition and turn West Virginia over. Jacob Gilliard, as good as anybody in the country at doing just that.
Here's McNeil. Inside, knocked away. And Richmond's got a chance. The 3 doesn't go. And it's saved to West Virginia.
That's been the story all afternoon. Richmond just cannot make anything from the three-point line, and now 1 of 11. That was a wide open look in transition, and Blake Francis just unable to knock it down.
And in stark contrast, West Virginia 7 for 10 from beyond the arc. They turn it over that time.
Bob Huggins isn't going to like this last 3-minute stretch. They haven't gotten burned on this end, but a little sloppy. But West Virginia getting it going on the defensive end of the floor. Derek Culver shooting up through that passing lane, and he is cleared for takeoff.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Pandora. Listen to music from uninterrupted radio only on Pandora. West Virginia's offense has been uninterrupted this afternoon in Morgantown. They are blowing out the 19th ranked Richmond Spiders 63-37. Michigan State at 4 is undefeated. So is Iowa, Baylor, and Gonzaga. But right now, this one-loss West Virginia team looks as good as any of those.
Well, I would say in the first half, that was as complete of a half as we've seen across college basketball. And as you see the AP poll, and I hope we get Baylor Gonzaga. It was canceled last week, and both parties are hopeful that it can be rescheduled. But man, what a matchup that would be. Those two teams have been phenomenal throughout this season so far.
I know you just saw Iowa last week. What did you think of the Hawkeyes?
They're very complete. You know, they can beat you in such a number of ways. Against North Carolina, it was the perimeter. It was C.J. Frederick. It was Jordan Bohannon. It was Joe Wieskamp. And, you know, you're not even talking about who might be the National Player of the Year yet in Luka Garza, who the other night against Iowa State was outstanding. Got in some foul trouble, but in the second half scored 21 straight points. Got it going. And, man, he's worked on his game, and he's put the time in. And he's as good as anybody in the country. He is a phenomenal player. The numbers he's put up this season are really outstanding.
Well, there's a lot of debate whether the Big Ten is the best conference in college hoops. A lot of people would say the Big 12 might lay claim to that crown. As of right now, Joe Lunardi has 7 of the 10 Big 12 teams in the NCAA tournament.
Well, both leagues are going to be just gauntlets. because not only do they have teams at the top, but also the depth where you're looking at teams that are at the bottom and they can still get you at any time.
I'll see Oklahoma State coming up this week in Big 12 play against TCU. Kate Cunningham, everything is advertised so far.
He's been the real deal and didn't play great the other night, but made a monster shot to win that game for Oklahoma State. He is a talented dude.
Cowboys are 6-0, getting some top 25 love as well. But if West Virginia can play offense anywhere close to what we've seen here in Morgantown today, there might not be a better team in the country, not named Gonzaga and Baylor, than these Mountaineers.
Well, I think that possession right there would be what we expected to see from West Virginia. You get a missed three from Isaiah Cottrell and Jalen Bridges getting after it on the offensive glass. That's not been the formula for how West Virginia has built this 24-point lead. It's been turning you over. It's been getting out in transition and making threes.
Wednesday, a couple of top 25 teams highlighting our ACC college basketball doubleheader here on ESPN. 25th ranked Louisville hosting NC State at 7. Then number 10 Duke in South Bend to take on Notre Dame. That's coming up Wednesday night on ESPN. Well, Bob Huggins able to get some playing time for some much heralded freshmen, Isaiah Cottrell and Jalen Bridges. And speaking of freshmen, Robbie, obviously Duke just keeps rolling in those 5-star blue chip freshmen every year. This has been a little bit of a rougher start for Mike Krzyzewski, and then he turns around and makes the declaration that they are not playing any more non-conference basketball until ACC play opens. We just talked about they'll be playing Notre Dame, and then he's going to send his kids home for Christmas. What are your thoughts on what Coach K had to say?
Well, I didn't disagree with him saying that we should be reevaluating the current situation, because with COVID-19 being something that's new in the last year, I think the NCAA should be constantly reevaluating the situation. Now, what he said about maybe stopping the season, that's a bad look for him because of the timing. You say that after you lose to Illinois and you lose to Michigan State, and Duke has been ironclad at winning non-conference home games. So you lose 2 in the same season and you make that statement, it rubs people the wrong way. People think, oh, well, Mike Krzyzewski's just saying that because they're not good this year. I don't necessarily agree with him in the sense that if we canceled the season, that these student athletes would be any better off. To me, you're getting tested at least every couple days. You're in a team setting. You have accountability to your team, to your teammates. You have a set schedule. You're not just going out and doing whatever. And if we stop the season, we're just going to send these kids home. And to me, you're putting a lot of these kids in a situation where they may be less safe from COVID-19. So I disagree with a lot of what Coach K said, but it's interesting to see that they're going to stop playing non-conference games until they see Notre Dame.
Well, that's well said on your part, and I would tend to agree with you. As a matter of fact, you talk to a guy like Bob Huggins, who has been there, done that in college basketball in his 39th year as a head coach. And we asked him earlier today, what have you learned during this whole process? He said, it's the same thing I told my kids this morning before I got on this phone call with you. Cherish what you have. Because we were in Kansas City at the Sprint Center getting ready to walk on the floor and play in the Big 12 tournament a year ago, and they pulled the rug out from under us. You never know when they're going to shut this thing down, or if they're going to shut this thing down. So cherish what you have. And I think, for the most part, everyone in college basketball, from the players to the head coaches to all the director of basketball ops who are in charge of scheduling and the yeoman-like work that they've done, I think there is a renewed passion for this sport and wanting to play and do it whenever you can to get the games in as early as you can because of the situation that everyone's faced with.
Well, it's certainly a deal where you just get used to playing or coaching, in packed arenas and being a part of something as cool as college basketball. I totally agree. I think it's going to be a wake-up call for a lot of people that this is a special deal.
12:03 to go. It's a 22-point West Virginia lead, looking for their 6th victory on the season. Their only loss came against the best team in the country, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Last time out, they scheduled a very late game against North Texas. They had a cancellation by Robert Morris. 2 days later, North Texas comes into Morgantown. They were losing at halftime only to go on to win 62-50. They almost put 62 up in the first half here, Robbie. We have a timeout on the floor in Morgantown.
Well, turnover is such a huge storyline today, and this time Jalen Bridges, the beneficiary, going up there and hammering one.
Robbie, why don't we take a look at our assist of the game, brought to you by State Farm, courtesy of Taz Sherman.
Well, Oscar Sheboy, this is going to be music to Bob Huggins' ears. Running the floor, and Taz Sherman throwing it up. Big fella going and getting it. For Sheboy, to me, it's just a matter of time. You know, he is a good player, and it's not like the Monstars came in here and stole his ability. He was not Space Jam. He is a good player, and he's going to figure some stuff out here, and I'm sure that him and Bob Huggins have worked through some stuff. But today, it's been really efficient. 5 of 6 from the field, 10 points, only 3 rebounds. And you said this in the break. He's a guy where he looks like he can honestly roll out of bed and get you a double-double. He has that kind of ability.
Well, 16 assists on 28 made field goals. A big reason why West Virginia is currently shooting 67% against Richmond. The last time they were over 60% as a team, got to go all the way back to an Auburn game 13 years ago, December of 2007, when they shot over 60%. So we are watching some historic West Virginia offense this afternoon in Morgantown.
I can't believe that in a non-conference game, Deshaun Butler, Kevin Jones, and those guys weren't able to shoot better than 64%.
That's how good the Mountaineers have been this afternoon. And Bob Huggins able to go into his bench a little bit more than he currently has. Kedrian Johnson on the floor committing that foul. That'll send Solomon Karesi back to the line. Well, the Richmond Spiders were supposed to be playing Duquesne on Saturday in their A-10 opener. That game has been postponed, so their team staff has gotten on the ball and scheduled Loyola of Chicago. They're going to go to Indianapolis and play that game Friday after the Duquesne game got postponed. They also have Vanderbilt coming up a little bit earlier this week as well on Wednesday the 16th.
Well, that ball did not hit the ground there. That was great passing by West Virginia, breaking that press, and it's honestly a shame to all of basketball that didn't go down. That was a beautiful press break.
And here's a leak out and an easy 2 from Isaiah Cottrell.
Well, Miles McBride saw that the whole way. You talk about advancing the basketball. That was a great pass up the floor. McBride has been outstanding today. He's done a little bit of everything.
Yeah, stat sheet stuffer for Miles McBride. 18 points, 3 assists. He's been all over the floor.
Well, Tyler Burton's found out the hard way a couple times here. You go up against these West Virginia bigs, they're going to meet you at the rim. I love the aggressiveness and the assertiveness of the young sophomore, but man, West Virginia's bigs challenging everything. Tyler Burton, a guy that's going to be a phenomenal player. He coming off a career high 21 points against Northern Iowa. Certainly some lessons learned today against the physical front court of West Virginia.
And Burton had his first double-double, 21 and 13 against the Panthers. Speaking of double-doubles, Derek Culver has been living in that neighborhood this year. He has 3 double-doubles already this season, and now he's got himself 10 points and 8 boards in this game. The lead is 24 as we come up on the halfway point of the second half. West Virginia putting the rest of the country on notice with this performance. Francis in the corner, no good. The rebound to Shibwe. And Oscar Shibwe is getting into double-double territory himself. 10 points, 4 rebounds so far. High-low. And Shibwe can't get it to go. So what went wrong with that high-low for Oscar Shibwe, Robbie?
Well, you'd like to see him catch the basketball and go right up with it. I'm not sure if he fumbled that ball, but you allow the defense to get back into play. And honestly, right there, he didn't get great lift. You know, he didn't look like he was able to explode right to the basket. He ended up kind of flipping up a right hook with a bunch of spin on it, and it just rolls off the basket. It's almost like his base was super narrow, and he didn't have great balance.
Gilliard leaves it for Francis. Got it. Assist to Gilliard, three-pointer by Blake Francis, and he's in double digits with 10.
That's the kind of shots they needed in the first half. Blake Francis can really fill it up, but just 1 of 7 from 3 today. It's been a struggle from the three-point line for Richmond to get it going.
Here's McBride, and now Miles McBride has himself 20 points on the afternoon to lead all scorers.
And Jacob Gilliard is a great defender, but Miles McBride is a horrible matchup for him. He has put him in the post and just gone to work all afternoon.
Here's Bridges on the wing. Seven on the shot clock for the Mountaineers. Bridges, little turnaround from the baseline, no good. Offensive rebound, Shibwe, and that's what makes him an NBA prospect.
That's a grown man board by Oscar Shibwe. Just took the ball away from 2 Richmond defenders and gets to that right jump hook.
74-51. Oscar Shibwe and the Mountaineers rolling.
Seth John and Dallin in studio. Number 5, Iowa. Luka Garza, nation's leading scorer, doing his thing.
Yeah, Iowa's got so many weapons. And when you have to cover the perimeter, you give up something in the paint. You take 2 guys down in the paint. Perimeter jump shots all night long.
The Big Ten, the games aren't games, they're events. Each and every night it's must-see TV. Indiana, Michigan State are 2 of the many teams that can make deep runs in the tournament.
Michigan State had 7 dudes in double figures. Rich, Robbie, back to you.
Thank you, Dallin and company. Speaking of double figures, the West Virginia Mountaineers have 4 players in double figures in what has been a blowout of 19th ranked Richmond. Here's a look at that top 10, some of the teams which the boys were talking about in the studio. And Robbie, not only is the Big 12 a player on the national scene, but you really feel strongly that the A-10 is going to have a good year as well.
Well, I think you look at some of the wins they've had this season, and Richmond probably has the most well-known win when they got Kentucky. But there's been other people in this league. You know, St. Louis is a real factor in not just winning this league, but also being a team that can make some noise in the NCAA tournament. So I think when you look at what they've been able to accomplish, you know, St. Louis gets LSU, Rhode Island beats Seton Hall. They've really been a thorn in the side of the SEC. Dayton got Mississippi State, I believe, yesterday in double overtime.
Yeah. Well, St. Louis has those double J's, right? Javante Perkins, Jordan Goodwin, Davidson is another tough out all the time this year. Bob McKillop's gotten rolling again with Kellen Grady. How about Rhode Island? Fats Russell, a Cousy nominee, and Dayton's got the preseason player of the year in Jalen Crutcher.
There's no question the Atlantic 10 this year is going to have 6 or 7 teams that can make a case, or going to try to make a case to the committee that they can be NCAA tournament teams. It's a very deep year for A-10 basketball.
West Virginia handling the pressure easily, but coming up short from close range. We've seen a few of those this afternoon, Robbie, but not nearly as much as Bob Huggins is used to seeing. Here's an and one opportunity for the Spiders.
It looks like Derek Culver sometimes alligator arms, like just short arms those jump hooks, and you miss an easy one on one end, and it's off to the races for Richmond to the other. Blake Francis getting to the basket.
Derek Culver whistled for his 4th foul, and with a 74-56 lead, I don't know if we'll see him again at some point. But right now, Bob Huggins content to keep him on the floor. I don't know, going back to your point, Robbie, am I oversimplifying things? Do you think this coaching staff, and Huggs has a great staff with Larry Harrison and Eric Martin and Ron Everhart and company, did they tell these guys just go up and try and dunk it every single time?
Well, I think that's a mentality that you want your players to have, but not everyone does, even guys that are capable. That was a great back screen by Miles McBride. Evan Matthews getting paid off. But to me, like, you just want them to go up strong and really, you know, at times I said he alligator arms or short arms those jump hooks. You want to see him follow through. You want to see him go up straight up and down and really shoot that jump hook. It almost looks like he's guiding it at times instead of actually shooting it.
Culver's got 10 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists this afternoon. Shibwe, his front court mate, has matched him. 12 points, 5 rebounds for Oscar.
This is fantastic execution by West Virginia, and there you're going to see Miles McBride just set that little back screen, and on time, on target from Derek Culver right to Emmett Matthews. Good offense for West Virginia.
So Derek Culver's at the line. We praised his free throw shooting, Robbie. He's 4 for 4. Does the broadcaster jinx come into play? Yes,
Look
it
at
does.
You. Why did you do that? You just couldn't help yourself, huh? Derek Culver's perfect at the line, and you just brought it up again.
You know why I did it? Because they're up by 18. That's why I did it.
I think Bob Huggins would like to hear that.
Here's another rebound, this time to Gabe Osaboyan. Here's McNeil taking it to the cup, and he misses one at close range. And we've got an offensive foul called. Ron Groover blowing the whistle on Sal Caresi. It's going to be West Virginia ball with 5:40 to go. Wednesday, a couple of top 25 teams highlighting our ACC college basketball doubleheader here on ESPN. First, it's the Cardinals, ranked 25th in the nation, taking on the Wolfpack at 7 Eastern. Then number 10, Duke in South Bend to start ACC play against Notre Dame. Of course, Mike Bray, the head coach for the Fighting Irish, spent a number of years with Coach K on that staff at Duke, as conference play starting earlier this year than ever before, Robbie.
I'm excited to see what Carly Jones is going to look like in conference play for Louisville. You know, a guy that's gotten it done. You see a lot of these transfers, their numbers decrease. He has been outstanding. 7 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and
we take a timeout with 5:18 to go from Morgantown. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball. The Monongahela River, just a stone's throw from West Virginia Coliseum. That's where the 11th ranked Mountaineers are putting it on the 19th ranked Richmond Spiders, 76-60. Their largest lead was 30. Richmond's hung around a little bit in the second half, but with 5:18 to go, we have seen by far the most impressive Mountaineers outing that we've seen not only this year, Robbie, but in the last couple of years.
just a complete performance by West Virginia on the offensive end of the floor, and we've come to expect them to pound teams on the glass, but today they knock in 7 threes and do it in an efficient manner. Miles McBride has been just the best player on the floor today.
And the shooting has been outstanding, and it continues. Another jumper, that time by Emmett Matthews.
Bob Huggins has been saying for weeks now that he has a good shooting team and he has good shooting players, and it just hasn't shown itself through yet. We'll see, as the season progresses, we get into Big 12 play. Can they keep shooting? Not at this level, because you can't expect them to do this every game, but can they do it to where they can really not have to depend so much on crushing teams on the glass, make some shots, get into an offensive rhythm? And we've seen them junk games up in the past and win, but man, if they're making shots, they're going to be so tough to beat.
There's an offensive rebound by Osaboyan, fresh 20 for the Mountaineers, and a foul called away from the basket. 4:06 to go. There's an illustrative of just how well the Mountaineers have shot it today. They are right on the Beezer, 60%. First time in 13 years they're shooting 60% as a team. And they're also shooting 58%, 7 for 12 from three-point range. Throw in some solid free throw shooting, and that is why West Virginia is up 19 on the previously undefeated Richmond Spiders. And if Taz Sherman makes this free throw, Robbie, that'll make 5 Mountaineers in double figures, and he does. Led by Miles McBride and his 20 points. The Mountaineers are up 20 with 4 minutes to go.
I think you have to compliment the West Virginia defense as well. Haven't gotten back cut, been complete all afternoon.
Hugs looking to win 887 coming up.
4 teams, 2 semifinals. New Year's Day, the college football playoff lives on ESPN.
Dallin Cuff here, the studio update. Auburn Athletics Director Alan Green announced today they are parting ways with Gus Malzahn as the head football coach. The carousel continues to move here. Started last time with Kevin Sumlin. Malzahn the latest to lose his job, 68-35 record. Everything started good. Year 1, SEC title, BCS title appearance, but things have gone south pretty much since then. Rich, Robbie, back to you for the conclusion in West Virginia.
Thank you, DC. Want to tell you about our player of the game today, brought to you by Phillips 66. Outstanding performance by Miles Deuce McBride, 20 points, 4 assists, and 3 steals to go along with his offensive output.
Well, he really set the tone from the jump, and that was a matchup coming into today that really we were looking at with Jacob Gilliard and Miles McBride, and McBride was outstanding both ends of the floor. West Virginia shoots like this, man, they can certainly make a run at the Big 12, and that's saying something because you've got Baylor, you've got Texas, you've got Kansas, but offensively you start getting more consistent shooting, and West Virginia can be a player in that race.
There's Taz Sherman. He has a dozen points this afternoon. Yeah, Baylor and Texas were supposed to follow this game. That game got postponed. As Scott Drew said, he is putting his program on pause to deal with some issues, and that's been an all too familiar refrain during the first 2 months of college basketball. And yet, I choose to look on the optimistic side of it. You know, over 85% of Division I programs are still playing ball.
Well, it's just a part of this year. You know, we knew it was going to happen. It's not a surprise when a team shuts down, and I think that's a good point. There's still a lot of people that are playing out here. Certainly the ones that aren't get a lot of publicity, but 85% is, I feel like, a number that most people in the public would not think of when they talk about how many teams are actually canceled.
Well, that's Taz Sherman again. Shot clock winding down, no problem. 15 points for Sherman. And Culver has another rebound. Derek Culver with his 4th double-double this season. 10 points, 10 boards for number 1 in gold. Coming up on 2 minutes to go in a game that was close in the opening moments, but West Virginia started to pull away in the first half, and they never looked back in the second half.
How good has West Virginia's defense been today in terms of defending the Princeton offense? You know, there was a few back cuts early here this afternoon, but after 2 or 3, well, they've really taken them out of it. Part of that's their pressure. They really turned them over, but they were locked in. This is a big scouting report game. When you play a team like Richmond, it's knowing personnel, it's knowing what they want to do. And I think today West Virginia has been totally on top of that.
Big 12 now on ESPN Plus, a must-have for Big 12 fans. The Mountaineer women play Oklahoma State Friday at 7:30 Eastern, and the men will take on Buffalo December 29th. Plus, we'll have more than 40 basketball games this season on Big 12 Now. If you're a Big 12 fan, you got to have it. Sign up today at ESPNplus.com/Big12Now. And, you know, we talked in the early part of this game, Robbie, about how difficult it is to game plan against West Virginia because they play with 2 bigs, and that style of play is a rarity these days in college hoops. There aren't that many teams who run this type of offense that Chris Mooney does with the Richmond Spiders. So again, to your point, a tip of the cap to Bob Huggins and that coaching staff, because obviously the game plan was very thoughtfully prepared and it was very thoroughly executed.
When you talk about preparing for West Virginia, they do things that are impossible to prepare for because of their personnel. I remember when we played West Virginia both my junior and senior years, practice basically for the few days leading up to it was rebound war and just all out brawls. And that's how you beat these guys. You got to punch them in the mouth because they're really trying to do just that to you. You just cannot prepare for their physicality and their size.
So 1:20 to go. It's 85-64 after that free throw. And now Isaiah Cottrell will check back in. And number 30, the last man on the bench, Spencer Mackey, checking in for Bob Huggins. Now, normally, if there was 15,000 inside WVU Coliseum, Robbie, they would be on their feet for Spencer Mackey. Only about 300 fans in attendance, and it's almost all family and friends because of the situation we find ourselves in college basketball. But Spencer Mackey's going to get some playing time here with $1:20 to go, and the game well in hand by the 11th-ranked Mountaineers, 85-64. Well, we told you that Miles McBride, Deuce, is our player of the game. Let's take a look at his afternoon.
Well, he has been phenomenal. I'm sure that cardboard cutout of Pat McAfee loves all of this, making jump shots, getting out in transition. I love the fact that he's willing to post up, a very complete player, and he had a complete afternoon. His stat line tells that story. But Miles McBride was a difference maker early in this game and certainly won the battle with the point guard matchup this afternoon.
Well, points aside, Robbie, you look at Miles McBride's other numbers in the stat sheet coming into this game: 27 assists, only 7 turnovers, and leads the team with 9 steals and 32 deflections. That is in the neighborhood, if you will, of Javon Carter and Daxter Miles and some of those terrific defensive guards that Bob Huggins has had through the years. Even Jawan Staten, who's on their staff right now as a GA. All of these great guards made their names with defense, and Miles McBride is a terrific offensive player, but you can't discount the defense as well from him. Largest lead of the game for the Mountaineers was 30. It is now 22 as we come up on 1 minute to go. And the Mountaineers bench loves what they're seeing from the reserves. That was Taj Thweatt with his bucket.
Yeah, Thweatt just moving off the basketball. See him going upstairs, and boy, it's been really impressive to see the way West Virginia has moved without the ball today. Taj Thweatt doing a great job being active.
Isaiah Wilson in the game for Chris Mooney, knocks down the free throw. And Taj Thweatt was a pretty highly heralded freshman, 6'7", 210 out of Wildwood, New Jersey. Some lofty expectations for him, but on a deep Mountaineers roster, he's going to get to sit and watch and learn, for the most part, his freshman campaign. That three-pointer is good. Up next for the Mountaineers, they're going to take on Iowa State next Friday. Had a game with Youngstown State that was postponed, but they opened Big 12 play against the Cyclones at home. And then after that, they go on the road to Allen Fieldhouse to take on the Kansas Jayhawks. Strange to say that, Robbie. December 22nd, West Virginia is playing at Lawrence, Kansas.
Well, it's certainly not ideal with the whole pandemic situation, but it is cool that we get conference play earlier in the season. And I think the Big Ten and the ACC have done a nice job of kind of exploring these earlier conference starts, and now we get it in the Big 12 as well. But man, West Virginia looking like a well-oiled machine here this afternoon going into conference play. I'm sure Bob Huggins can find some things to work on here, but they took a really good Richmond team today and really dismantled them early in the first half.
It's going to be win number 887 on the career wins list for Bob Huggins, future Hall of Famer. He's now one behind Roy Williams, fourth most among active coaches, sixth most all time. And here's one for you, Robbie. He's now 16 behind Bobby Knight. 16 more wins, and he passes the great Robert Montgomery Knight. And he just keeps climbing that list.
Yeah, rare air there for Bob Huggins. And the thing that I've always respected about Coach Huggins is he'll play anyone, anywhere, at any time. He does not care. He is a gamer.
Well, it was a game effort by the Richmond Spiders, but it was a dominating performance by West Virginia. They win it 87-71 for Robbie Hummel. I'm Rich Hollenberg. Now out to Vegas, UFC 256.